Welcome to the Dreamboat. Remember, you can join the DRI for just £30 a year. You get access to more content, including videos and discounts for our events. It's a great way of finding out more about our work, joining our dream community, and supporting this podcast. Details in the show notes and at driccpe.org.uk/membership. Welcome to the Dreamboat podcast, a place where we talk about everything dreamy, all you wanted to know about dreams and where you might find some answers. My name is Dave Billington, and I'm a psychotherapist, and I'm also director of the Dream Research Institute. And I'm joined by fellow psychotherapist Laura Payne.
Hello, I'm Laura Payne, and I'm also part of the Dream Research Institute. And we're called the Dreamboat because we are recording our podcast overlooking the beautiful canal barges here at Little Venice in London.
We'll be looking at dreams, talking to guest experts, and answering your questions.
Now, let's get on with the episode. So, are your dreams a treasure hunt? Are they a treasure trove? What can you find in your dreams? Now, I know we often talk about the varying types of dreams and, nightmares and night terrors, but even those, are they also a treasure trove? Now, I often like to say it's our psyche knocking at the door, and if we don't listen, the psyche will just keep on knocking with more terrors and more nightmares and hopefully more good dreams. So we have been joined today by Dr. Katherine Bell, who has actually just finished writing a book on dreams, The Treasure Hunt.
Yes, hello. Dr. Katherine Bell, a NASA astrophysicist, has been fascinated by dream work for many years. A dream coach, she works with clients from around the world to help them understand more about the dream life, and also runs dream circles. I've been part of a dream circle for 10 years, so I can highly recommend them. So fantastic. She's part of the IASD. She's the regional director for North California and is hosting a Festival of Dreams in October.
Plus, she's a fellow podcast host, having run her own weekly live radio, I'm so impressed, dedicated to dreams called The Dream Journal since 2019. So, Katherine, welcome.
Thank you. So glad to be on the show.
Oh, it's nice to have you here. And I'm fascinated about treasure hunting and dreams. Tell us a bit more about it.
So a lot of people don't want to pay attention to their dreams because they're disturbing. Often we wake up and there's like just some kind of weird feeling left over, or the images don't make sense. And so a lot of people that I talk to say that they really just don't want to remember their dreams because of that. And my approach is to say, yes, there is all this strange stuff that's happening. There's upsetting emotions, and yet there's also treasures. There's also moments of support, moments of love and connection in the dreams, moments of beauty. And so my approach is to encourage people to start looking for those good moments in the dreams, and then to recognize that there's a lot of help in these dreams. And as eventually you start to realize that even the so-called bad moments are good moments because they help us realize who we are and what needs to change in our lives.
So you called it treasure hunting, and you've just mentioned love. Is it a good way of finding love in a dream? Can we sort of track through our dreams and perhaps find our prince? Though I often say, you have to kiss a lot of princes to find the right frog.
That's a twist on the old fairy tale. Yeah, there's a lot of frog kissing involved in dream work, I tell you that. Because those frogs, they do hide princes. And so, that horrible monster that is just really upsetting is usually part of ourselves that we're not letting in, that there's part of ourselves that we've been taught, oh, that's dangerous. Oh, don't be too playful. Don't be too creative. You got to stay within the lines. And then those parts of us that want to be creative and playful turn into frogs. And we're like, ooh, that's a key part. But then we start to connect with it and we start to realize, oh, this is actually something that was at the time I had to put it away. I had to get through school, had to survive my parents. But now I have chosen my family. I can go where I want to go. I can let it out. I can become more playful and creative. And so same with relationships, and that a lot of the relationships are based on what we think we should want, or they're sometimes based on difficult experiences and that we're trying to resolve them. There's a whole school of thought that relationships are specifically us trying to work out the bad relationships of our life. So no wonder we choose some frogs along the way. And I don't know if I subscribe to that or not. I'm not sure. But I had very few relationships for most of my life. I was single till I was 24. And then after that, I had controlling men in my life. I had people who wanted open relationships. I had things that just weren't suited to me. But I thought, oh, I guess this is how it's supposed to be. And so I would go along with the relationship because this is the one I'm in. And as I did my dream work, I started to recognize that I have desires that were not being met in these relationships. And so for me, it was really creating the relationship with myself that allowed me to recognize when a relationship was not working. So bit by bit, I have become much more comfortable speaking up and saying, no, that's not okay. I do not want an open relationship. To say something like, what do I want? I do want a child. What do I not want? And that this is allowed me to come along and to choose better relationships. And now I'm married to a man for the last 4 years who is really kind, and it turns out he loves dreams. He hid that from me when we first met because he could see how much I was into dreams. And he was not comfortable talking about his dreams. So it was actually a couple of years after we were together before I realized that he was really loved his dreams and started talking to me about them. But let me back up a little bit and talk about finding the princes in the dreams, because very often I do find these wonderful characters, male characters in my dreams. And sometimes they can be not so wonderful, and sometimes they're wonderful. But there's a way that I feel like I am working out my relationship with all the men in my life when I have a dream encounter with one man in my dreams, and same with all the women in my life, and all the people. Gender is fluid, and so it could be just each person we're relating to in our dreams. So we work out a relationship with the person in our dreams, then we find that our waking life relationships shift. Yeah. Because, early on, I had a lot of dreams about relationships that were, right, interesting, a little slips. Because there is a synchronicity there, inner and outer. But I had a lot of dreams about relationships where I was not good. I had a lot of being pursued, being chased, being raped, being beaten, being forced to do things I didn't want to do, being held by the hair. I mean, I had all these really bad relationships in my dreams. And as I started to work with those dreams and recognize that there's a way through, like in the dream I mentioned about being held by my hair, I had a dream where a man has me on my knees and he's holding me by the head. It looked like a Saddam Hussein character. So this was back in the 90s, this dream. And he says some strange thing like, if you really had loved me, you would have been willing to stay here prisoner to my love. So he's my jailer. But then in the dream, there's this sharp noise. Something happens. And the Hussein character lets go, and I run away, and I escape into the wilds with this new man. And so as I worked with the dream, my focus is immediately on, oh no, I'm being hurt. I'm being held by the hair. This man is holding me prisoner. All the terrible things about the dream. And I really had to remind myself, but wait, it doesn't end there. There's more. And that as I kind of got to explore these aspects, ways that I'm held prisoner by love, the ways that I assume that love is like a gun held to my head, or I hold guns to other people's heads, and I think that's love, that I start to realize that I can escape. And in fact, part of me already has escaped, so that I can then focus on the part that I can leave behind, these difficult relationship dynamics, and start to wonder, what is this like to not be in prison, to have love not be a prison? And so that's like the next step. And it took years for this step to unravel. And I kept, I still have flashbacks to days of being held prisoner by love. But more and more, I feel like a one-to-one relationship with those figures in my dreams.
I was intrigued. Did you actually dream your husband, Max, before you found him? Was it something as distinct as that, or was he sort of more like a more shadowy animus character to begin with? How did he show up beforehand, if he did?
I don't know that I dreamed about him, but what I did dream is I dreamt about how I would feel with him.
Oh, nice.
Yes. Which is the most amazing thing about dreams, is they teach me my capacity for feeling. Because I was very unhappy for much of my, yes, Rina, I see you nodding. Yes, and that I was very unhappy for much of my life. I was suicidal for about 15 years. I was trying to figure out how could I get out of this. Was not happy. But I would have these glimpses of dreams where I felt happy. And I'm like, what? Is this dream just torturing me? Because I don't feel happy when I'm awake. But what it taught me as I worked with these dreams is that I recognized that I have the capacity for happiness. And so similarly, these dreams of relationships, I learned over time that I have the capacity to feel cherished. I have the capacity to love another person and care for them, and they care for me, and that I can have that kind of a relationship. So what happened in waking life is that when I met my husband, my now husband, of course, I sat down next to him. It was at a New Year's Eve bonfire about 5 years ago. And I didn't know this person. I sat down next to him and I'm like, something felt right. We hadn't really even spoken, maybe a few words. And I didn't even know his name yet, but I think something felt right. I could feel sitting right next to him, my body relaxed. Recognized, yes, because so often I'm on guard with other people. I'm tense. I'm like, what should I say? Or what do they expect? And with this person, I just felt relaxed. I felt like, oh, wow. And that came to me from my dreams, and that I know how to be relaxed. I knew how to be connected to somebody. So I followed him around. I figured out his name. And eventually I slipped him a business card, because that's my smooth move for how to meet guys. And he called me a couple days later and we got together. And for me, it was recognizing the feeling in my body that this is a good thing and I want more of it. And I have the capacity for this feeling. And that's what I learned from my dreams.
Yeah, I'm very excited about this because it picks up on something I heard you say in a previous podcast of yours. And it really intrigued me. It said, if man had never seen a bird, would he have imagined the ability to fly? Would he have invented flying? And that set me thinking. And what you're saying feels very powerful, because you creating this capacity to believe that you have the capacity to be happy, to feel love. And if that was foreign to you, it's coming through in the dream. And this porousness where we can connect to the collective, to something greater than our direct experience, allows us to imagine something that we hadn't seen before. And you imagined, you got access. Yes, I have the capacity for happiness. And I'm sorry if I'm overinterpreting. I'm just very excited by what you've said. And then so when you meet Max, your body recognizes it, because it's already experienced that feeling. It's a recognition rather than something new, and it can relax into it.
And I've learned to listen to my body, because
yes,
I was very much a head type, not saying, okay, I can control my life, I can decide what to do. And it never got me anywhere. It didn't make me happy anyway. Actually, it did get me somewhere. It got me my PhD in astrophysics. Thank you very much. So it did get me somewhere, but it didn't help me be happy. And so the dreams helped me learn to recognize that the body has useful information and I can pay attention to it. Yeah. And what you're saying, Rina, is beautiful. I think there's something comes up for me is that people often fly in their dreams. I'm not a very frequent lucid dreamer, but occasionally I do. And the feeling of flying in dreams is amazing. So maybe people would have figured that out from their dreams.
Oh, interesting thought. Well, yes, it's a real, it's all puns intended, chicken and egg type of thing, isn't it? What came first, the bird or the dream?
Right. I mean, after all, we don't know any creatures that go into space, and yet people imagine traveling to space all the time. Science fiction and NASA, and
I think you touched on something really beautiful and really important that people forget. Most people think that the dream is about the story and the imagery. And yes, that carries a lot of weight and is really important, particularly as you know, you host dream groups and you do private dream work, Katherine, that, these are the things that people often bring initially into, the sort of analysis space. But more importantly is, what feeling are you left with? How does that resonate in your body? People forget to tune into that bit. And I think it's really important for people to hear that it's not just about the pictures. It's how do they make you feel?
How is that for you? Like, this is one of the big questions. That one of the things that I do with dream clients is I don't set myself up as an interpreter. I'm not, I just want to draw you out and say, how is that for you? Was that okay? Or was that bad? Because I don't want to assume that this was a good thing or a bad thing, because it may not be, maybe different for that person than it is for me. And so what you're saying there, Laura, is about recognizing that the feeling is some of the most important part of the dream. And even I forget to write down what the feeling is in a dream. And so, but I try to remember, because I kind of still discount the feelings. They're just, it's like old habits. But teaching people to tune into their feelings and reconnect with their bodies is one of the main things that people learn through a course of dream work, is to recognize that intuition is a feeling. Like, we want to be more intuitive and be led, but what are we going to be led by? Well, the body is a useful instrument that has a huge amount of information in it. And there's feelings. There's also just like impressions, like, I don't know why, but I don't like that. And like letting that be enough. I don't have to come up with a bunch of reasons about why I don't want to do it. Maybe I just don't want to do it.
Yeah.
Or likewise, maybe I just do. Like, maybe the brain isn't as important as we think. Coming up with all the reasons is not as important as we think.
Mm. And that's the treasure, isn't it? That's the treasure hunt, to sort of bring it back to the theme of your book. Yes. It's not just the images.
That's right.
And look, you're now happily married. You found the treasure in your dream was to connect with the feeling that helps you recognize your partner.
Yes. And it's helped me learn how to go forward and how to choose things in my life that will be satisfying. And happiness is an interesting thing. You can say a lot about happiness, but I've discovered that following my intuition, following the things I want to do, doesn't make me happy like all the time. Like, it's not like I'm going to be like gleeful all day long, because I work on this festival that I'm creating, this conference in Santa Cruz in October, and it's a lot of work. And there's times when I'm pounding on my laptop and all frustrated, and yet it's satisfying. I'm bringing people together. I'm creating this event that people really love, and I know I will enjoy too. That there's something about not needing to be happy in every moment, but being satisfied. Like, this is what I wake up to do. I wake up and go, this is what I want to do, and I'm blessed that I get to do it. Mm-hmm. And it's not always easy. I get frustrated. I get, but that's okay. That I've learned that's just kind of part of this feeling body that we have. And I can maybe say, it's time to go take a break now, or let me open up a different program while that one loads, or something like that. So I've learned to kind of recognize even that is a signal.
Mm. Yeah. I suppose for me, how did you make the jump from astrophysics to another form of consciousness, I want to
Yes.
say, and dreaming.
Right. Yeah.
And space travel.
Right. I know. Right. Well, they all happen under the stars. I guess that's the thing.
Yeah, there's inner space and outer space.
There is. Well, as I was kind of alluding to, I got into science through a kind of a head route. Like, what should I do? This is what I'm supposed to do. And in my family, we're all scientists. I have 3 siblings, and my 2 parents, and aunts and uncles. God, come to think of it, we got a lot of scientists in my family. And so it seemed like science was the only way to go. And I was good at it, right? But it turns out just because you're good at it doesn't mean that's good for you. So, I did what I thought I should do, and I came to UC Santa Cruz and studied for my PhD. And then the next thing was to apply for a job at NASA, because I did not want to leave Santa Cruz. I really love it here. And so I applied for a job over there and worked for 11 years as a space scientist for NASA. And all that outer world stuff was going well. But on the inner world, it was miserable. And I had all these dreams about like bleak, cold castles and battles. Like I would just be looking down on raging battlefields, but I'd be a mile high, just barely see these little ants going back and forth and black and white. And just these dreams were just so disturbing. And I ignored them as long as I could. I'm like, oh, I don't want to look at those. That's terrible. But bit by bit, I just realized I wasn't happy. So what I did is I started a course of psychotherapy, and it was valuable in certain ways. And what broke the doors open, though, is when Jeremy Taylor came to town, and he led a workshop on dream groups. And I just had some huge ahas, and I started bringing dreams to my therapist. And he didn't really know what to do with it, which I think is common. Psychotherapists feel like they have to have the answer or something, but he was just ask me questions and how did that feel, and it really woke me up to like, wow, I think I need to make some changes. This is not okay, and I started to make progress with my life based on recognizing my dreams and recognizing even the bad dreams, the nightmares, because there was something speaking to me. And when I could tune into that and find the treasures in there, that I started to realize this is just not okay. This is not okay. So I quit,
Wow.
And that was like a big deal to quit.
Yeah, exactly.
I was a civil servant at NASA. I've been working there for 11 years. But I just wasn't happy. And luckily I was in a situation where I could afford to do that. And since then I've been retooling my life towards this dreams, to working with dreams, and had groups and clients and podcasts and conferences. And now I work with the IASD and just to spread the interest in dreaming. I think if humans paid more attention to their dreams, our world would get better. I mean, I think the dreams are in there working, and they do their work whether we even remember them. They're a subconscious process. It do not require to remember a dream for a dream to work for you. They're working for you every single night. But we can enhance that process by remembering a dream, writing it down, exploring a dream, playing around with it, talking to other people about it, and that just deepens the work that happens. Just like breath. Breath happens all the time. We're breathing in, we're breathing out. But there are many spiritual practices that involve deepening the breath and taking a deeper breath, or breathing in particular ways like pranayama. There's different kinds of ways you can work with the breath. It's a subconscious process. But if we work with it consciously, we can enhance its benefits. Same with dreams. Subconscious process, working just fine without our attention. But if we work with it consciously, we can enhance that work.
I find myself nodding like crazy. She said, yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it's very similar to Rina and I did the same training, and dreaming was a fundamental part of our psychotherapy training. But I know a lot don't sort of it's, I think Freud called it the royal road, didn't he, to the unconscious or subconscious. And there's something really important about that because, if I think I'm sort of listing interventions, for want of a better description, at the top of my list used to be dreams, and if you could get a client to bring a dream and they could trust the space enough, the treasure was there. The treasure was always there, and always is there because, as I know, regular listeners will know, I always say, the psyche is constantly knocking at the door at night. Do you want to open it? And if you don't, it will carry on knocking in different ways till sometimes it's almost screaming at you. Mm-hmm. But hence nightmares and whatnot. But.
Right. Yeah, but also it sends support. Like Laura, I don't want to interrupt, but if we start looking for those moments, okay, even in the middle of a nightmare, often there's support. Yeah. Many dreams of like running down the runway to catch that airplane, and there's a travel agent booking me a new flight. Oh, but I'm going to keep running. I'm going to keep right
because I don't recognize help. If it hits me in the face, I'm not going to recognize it,
which is okay.
Let alone take it.
But yeah, exactly. But once I'm awake, I can say, oh, yeah, that was terrible. I was running. But then, oh, wait a minute. I thought she was helping. And so then in waking life, I can say, yeah, I have this intense running feeling. And yet there are angels helping me, if you like, allies, sometimes I call them. And so I can then go back into the dream and kind of reframe it to say, oh, bring tenderness to myself. I like to talk about tenderness for the dreamer. That, wow, you really felt like you had to run. That was, you were trying to catch that plane. You were doing the best you could do. I feel a lot of tenderness there because you didn't even know that she's right over there to help you. So, I have this little formalism called tenderness, longing, and curiosity, TLC.
Oh, I love it. Oh, Katherine, that's lovely. And longing, love and longing is such an interesting axis, isn't it, in many ways?
It is. I particularly like the word longing rather than like desire or hope or wish or intend. For me, longing recognizes that I'm here in this state where I don't have what I want. So it lets me stay right here. And yet I feel a pull toward what I do want. Because there are many things like an intention like takes me totally out of my current discomfort and says, I intend to be open and loving or whatever it is. And yet the longing is like, oh, I feel so miserable. And I just long for that time when I can feel loving.
I mentioned the word axis. It's the axis of loss and longing, and how powerful that is, because you've lost something, you either long for it or you long for something different. And it's a sort of dynamic. I often find it's a dynamic that addicts can get stuck in as well. But it's, as you say, it's the power. It's not just desire. There's something else that plays out. It's a very deeply charged emotion.
It is, and it's a very powerful emotion. In my experience, it creates movement. So bringing tenderness to the moment, and then the longing kind of pulls me forward. Like tension, like Leung talks about the tension of the opposites, holding the fact that I am unhappy right here. And yet I am aware that there's a possibility for me to be happy. And so there's like a tension between these two things. And I can hold both of those.
Yeah. I like the fact you've put tenderness with it as well, because otherwise you could get stuck in the axis, and that's when the punishment sort of psyche or punishment ego starts kicking off. What was the C again? So
curiosity.
Yeah, my favorite. Wow. Where would we be without it?
Right. And there's so many levels of curiosity that we can look at it. Like, sometimes people go to curiosity first. And so that's one of the cautions. That's why I put tenderness and longing first. Because curiosity, sometimes we just start Googling, like, oh, what is a horse? Yeah, the bypass. And then we miss our own feelings. And yet once we've felt our feelings, the tenderness, and we recognize what we long for, there can be like I like to call it open-handed curiosity. It's a good place to start. Like,
ooh, nice.
Like, what is here? What is this? Like, what is this like? Like, sometimes what is this like? Does this remind me of anything? Is this familiar? Like, you're getting to know somebody, like another person in your life. You don't, do the full bio, name, rank, and serial number, whatever. You're just like, let's have a chat. And then we'll get to know each other. And I feel the dreams are like that. The curiosity is like, well, let's have a chat with this dream. Let's like see what this is like. And there's this moment of the dream that I didn't like very much. But then here's this moment of the dream that I did like. And like to feel the different moments and to be curious about my past. Like this is where I can bring up memories, my associations. Like, most people love fresh food and I like TV dinners. This is not true, but I don't know. Just, but like, is there a way that the association you have about an object is a little different than the cultural norm? And that's really valuable. Those associations, personal associations, are part of the curiosity. And don't get me wrong, Google and ChatGPT can be useful if they're used carefully in certain, but to always come back to the self and the body and the aha. I like to talk about the aha, the dreamer's aha. Like, what? Aha. Oh, like that. Like, oh, that makes sense somehow. I don't really know how that makes sense, but that changed something for me. Like that is a powerful feeling. When I'm working with a dream, I like to get at least a couple of good aha moments. Like, I hadn't thought of that. That's interesting. Or wow, that's a new feeling. And even if I can't articulate it, I can't put it into words. Even if I can't do that, if I have this body sense of, that feels right. Yeah. Then that's valuable. And that's all, again, tuning into the body.
And also the power of dream circles as well, because people will often find it or recognize it's an aha moment more than the dreamer sometimes, because you've shared so many dreams. You know each other's material very, very well. For someone to say, you said that 3 weeks ago or whatever. Oh, yeah. Well, you had that frog in that dream 6 months ago.
It's true. All right. The groups are really useful. And even if somebody in the group brings up something that doesn't resonate, like someone might say, I'm wondering if that might be about my mother because the person who's sharing in the group, maybe they have mother issues, but maybe the dreamer does not. And they're like, it's not about my mother. But for the person who's listening, it very much is about their mother.
Yeah. So it's still a message.
Yes, we get exactly. We get to have all the dreams that get shared.
It feels like what you're alluding to is that in dream circle, or when, as a therapist, when you're working with a dream or as a dream guide, you're very much facilitating. And if that curiosity can be helped to be turned inward, be curious about yourself, that's where the treasure lies. Notice, that's why I said bypass, because like if that curiosity too quickly goes outside, as if the expert or the interpretation lies outside, as a facilitator, what we're trying to foster in others is that trust, that turning inward to what does my body say about that object or that phenomenon, not what Google or the acquired wisdom of ChatGPT might say about it. That could be an input, but first turn the curiosity inward. And so much of what you were saying, because I know we're on this hook about love and the treasure of fun, is if by going inwards, by going into that inner, you're making yourself capable to recognize, just as you said with being an astrophysicist, yes, you could, but it wasn't the right fit. So you weren't in the right place to find the right love. And somehow by attending to this inner, it shifted where you were, and inner starts working with outer. So that I really like that curiosity. That curiosity brings in this notion, I'm here as a facilitator, not as an interpreter, not as the pressure to have the answer.
Right.
Or to send you to the right reference source.
Oh, I had an aha about that, Rina. Thinking about my inner voices. I have a vast cacophony of inner voices. And if I can think of myself as a facilitator between my different voices, like I had a dream recently where certain people in a hospital were getting better treatment than others. These VIP people, and I could just see the people who are not getting the good treatment off to the side. And I'm starting to think about that as those are my neglected voices. Like, are those the ones I don't pay attention to? And maybe it's time to ask them what they're up to. Yeah.
Nice. So, Katherine, just to sort of finish off, tell us a bit more about the Festival of Dreams that's coming up in October.
Right. It's October
25.
10th. Yep. October 25. October 10th through 12th in Santa Cruz, California. It is a regional IASD event, and you can learn about it at festivalofdreams.net. This is our main webpage. We have Eventbrite tickets, so you can get to that link on festivalofdreams.net. And what we're going to do is a day and a half, and we're going to have workshops and talks. And currently we have 28 presenters signed up to present. So we're having concurrent tracks of workshops and talks. And it's being held at the Santa Cruz Museum of Art and History, which is an art museum, and which is a beautiful space. So we actually have the whole place rented out for those 2 days. And the one of the workshop spaces is an actual art gallery. So we're going to have like art all around us. And there's a beautiful atrium. And we're going to have a keynote speaker in the atrium. Our keynote speaker is Dr. Opila Colorado, who's the founder of the Worldwide Indigenous Science Network. And she's a very dynamic speaker. And after the keynote in the atrium there, it's a 3-story atrium with stained glass walls. We're going to after that, we're going to have a dream ball, which is where we turn out all the lights and we have a live DJ who's going to be playing dance music for us. And we get to come dressed as a dream character and really embody that inner self. Like maybe I'll be one of those people standing on the wall and say, hey, I'm coming off the wall now. I got something to say. Right? And we get to dance this character that you want to honor, you want to embody. It's going to be a lot of fun. And we have an art show as well that people who are presenting and even who are just attenders, if they submit in advance, can put art on the walls inside our main workshop space, our main, talking space. We're going to have 32 easels set up, and we're going to have a little pop-up art show as part of it. And we have Bob Haas is coming to give an invited speech about soul dreaming, which he has had this amazing conversations with his wife who has dementia. He has lucid dreaming conversations with her. And he's going to talk about this and how that connects with our soul, like how we are souls, even bodies.
What lovely. Bob Hoss, obviously being from the Association for the International Association for the Study of Dreams, one of its leading figures. So
Absolutely.
That's what a treat. Mm-hmm. Well, I don't know about you, Rina, but I'm coming as a frog.
I'll carry you in my pocket, Laura. You'll be there.
Catherine, lovely. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you, Laura.
And thanks for coming on board.
Well, I just want to say one more thing, which is my webpage is experientialdreamwork.com. Yeah. So you can look me up there. My podcast is called The Dream Journal. We now have 324 episodes. It's going to be my Saturday show is 324 episodes over 6 years and it's on Apple, iTunes, Google, Spotify, YouTube. I also have a bunch of full-length interviews on YouTube that you can look me up, Experiential Dreamwork, and LinkedIn and all that good stuff. So connect with me. I would love to chat with any of the listeners. And thank you so much, Laura and Rina.
Oh, Catherine, thank you. We'll put all of those links in the show notes, everybody, so don't worry about that. And plenty of ways of being able to track Catherine down. Anyway, thanks very much indeed.
It was a real pleasure, Catherine. Thank you. This was really enjoyable.
Thank you.
Thanks very much to Catherine for coming on board. What did you make of it, Rina? What do you think about treasure hunting in your dreams?
Well, I knew before I knew anything about it, I was going to like it because I just love the playfulness of the title. It's very inviting, isn't it? And it's rich, and you get to touch things and play with things, and that's the whole that's the whole invite into the dream world. This is playful.
Yeah,
you can change things. You can play with things. Things are not stuck.
Yeah, even if it's scary, can you face it? I loved, the whole curiosity thing. It's what people get sick of hearing it from me. It's one of my big words. Can we stay curious? In the end, that's the invite to life, isn't it? Can we be curious about this thing called life, whether we're dreaming or whether we're awake, whatever we're going to call awake? I find the whole thing fascinating, and I love her approach because Is a treasure hunt, and it is important that we remember that, I think.
There were just so many points she made that I was just nodding like crazy all the way she was
You were.
when she was speaking, because she was speaking our language and we come from completely different schools of it. So that was very exciting. And the way she was reaching out to the layperson, and I've noticed you've had several guests like this, of reminding us of, yes, the dream is disturbing, but don't push it away just because it's disturbing. There's treasure in the disturbance. It's a bit like, watching fairy tales and superhero things. It's like there's villains and bad guys and it's scary and it's disturbing, but there's treasure in there. So the invitation in, and also this wonderful real thing that happens, that if you work on your inner world, your outer world will start looking much more like how you would like to have it.
Very, very nicely put, Rina. Great place to end. Love it. So it is the key point of all of this in the end. And look, for Katherine, she met someone who she married and settled down with, and that was what she wanted. That was happiness. And how beautiful that she found that through doing the dream work.
Mm-hmm. And linking it with the body and linking it with feeling and turning the curiosity away from the mind, but into the inner, all of it. That's why I was just nodding like crazy. I'm like, yep.
Well, everybody, many thanks. Good luck with your own dream work. So from me, it is sweet dreams, as always.
And for me, it is go well.
So thank you for joining us for this week's episode. Don't forget to like us and leave comments on your favourite podcast platform. As I'm sure you know, that's the way we build an audience for the Dreamboat podcast, and also to spread news about dreaming. And as we said, there are many ways you can share your dreams at the DRI, the Dream Research Institute.
Yes, we have courses, events, and workshops, and we want to hear from you. So check out the show notes for links, or find us on Instagram and on our Facebook page and on our website at driccpe.org.uk. And if you want to explore your dreams further, or you would like to support us, you can join the DRI as a member for just £30 a year. As a member, you will get discounts for all of our events and short courses. You'll get our newsletter with latest dream research news, and we'll also be adding other special member benefits during the year. Of course, members' dreams will always be given preference for reading on the podcast Dream of the Week slot. So go to the link on the show notes and become a DRI member today. Keep dreaming and keep sharing your dreams.